morning, this afternoon. We in fact have with us a renowned entrepreneur and someone who's an accomplished digital marketing and IT expert as well. We have with us none other than Mr. Dinesh Agarwal of India Mart. And to spearhead the conversation, we have with us the thought leader himself, Mr. Apurva Chamaria of Google. So let's have a huge round of applause and please help me welcome both of our speakers on stage. First up, Mr. Dinesh Agarwal and Mr. Apurva Chamaria to please come forward. And we're all set to deep dive. I've said it's a fireside chat. Can we have a feisty round of applause, everyone? Can we bring that energy back in the air? Well, that's what we're talking about. And I'm going to quickly hand over the proceedings to Mr. Chamaria. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I think this event is happening, IDS is happening after a couple of years. Dineshji, thank you for being here. So we go back a long way. Dineshji is a senior from HCL and of course someone whom I've looked up to for many years. So pleasure to be sharing the stage with you. I came early and I was speaking to a lot of early stage founders in the audience and I was trying to understand what is their understanding of Amrit Kal and Aatmanirbhar Bharat. So maybe we should start there. What is your thesis on Amrit Kal? Why is it Amrit Kal now and not earlier or later? And why is it important to be Aatmanirbhar today?
See, काफी ज्ञान वाला है ये सवाल. So I think we are fortunately, it's a time has coincided with many things. If you look at, we started with computerization somewhere around 1985, which was very early days, and HCL was formed in 1983 or something. And I come from that same breed. And today, almost 50% of IT engineers in the world are produced by India. And that too, good English speaking, as well as. And still, the median age of our country is just 29 years of. So if you really see, if this particular century, not decade, if this particular century where we have just spent 22, 23 years, another 75 years are too. I think we all would agree that computers being less than 10% penetration are going to become 100% penetration for the entire population of the world. So from just 5 years ago, we had less than 500 million computers around the world. And now we have 5 billion of these better computers around the world. And in another 5 years, we'll have entire population of the world, 8-9 billion covered with the computers. So there's no doubt that this is all going to, this whole 75 years is all going to be IT and AI and, anywhere in the world. Everybody would need software, everybody would generate data, everybody would. And if the 50% of the talent is being produced by India and has been producing by India for the last 23 years, I mean, it's not a no-brainer to call it an Amrit Kal or a Aatmanirbhar Bharat today after 20 years. So it's probably the foundation of that was Y2K or even before that. So from that perspective, and imagine if these are going to be the high earners, they are going to be needing all kind of products and services, and so we would become even manufacturing and trading hub also in times to come. So I have no doubt that whether we started calling it now Aatmanirbhar or whenever there is a large population, educated population, and democracy, and about 25-30 years of median age, it's a no-brainer to be calling Amrit Kal or Aatmanirbhar Bharat.
Fantastic. So Dineshji, you started India Mart in 1996. It's almost you and Brijesh it's almost 27 years now. And for many years, you were running the business without raising any external capital. If I remember, almost 10 years, there was no external investor. You were running it on your own. And frankly, in 1996, India didn't have a lot of VCs or angels or family offices. So you're a poster boy of being Aatmanirbhar before you raised funding. What's your advice to a lot of early entrepreneurs here, especially because last year has been funding dropped from 42 billion to 25. This year is going to be 20 to 22 billion. How important is it to build resilience or being Aatmanirbhar as an entrepreneur?
So I think our times are not comparable. Our times, I didn't even know the word venture capital. When somebody first called me in 1998, ki, I'm calling from Gujarat Venture Finance Limited and I can give you finance, I said, humko loan nahi chahiye. So, because I didn't even know. And in those days, I think getting a money to be made losses was not a concept. But the market was also very small. Even today, if you go to Noida, every third building is running some or the other computer, IT, mobile outfit. Every, go to Gurgaon, not even 1% of them are actually funded or need funding or even go for. So I think funding is a very hyper-rated or overrated inspirational thing. Out of the hundreds of the companies that get listed around the world and are listed around the world, whether it is NASDAQ, whether it is BSE, NSE, half of them never took any funding before becoming public. So, most of the businesses are created in a manner which do not require an external capital and are self-sufficient. I think even today, given that the market has gone 10x, so whether any kind of software that you make, whether it is a website software or mobile app software or automation software or a banking software, anything, any kind of a IT software support, digital marketing, whatever you do, there's enough market where the customers can fund your business. Yeah. If you mix a little bit of marketing sales along with your technology understanding, most of the time customers should be able to fund your business. I mean, customers' revenue should be able to fund your business. And as I said, there is huge market, and if you can find the right kind of a product market fit or service, customers are willing to pay for it. You might have to run a little slower, but that's about it. When funding comes, you might run much faster, but when you run faster, there is always a chance of accident. So it's okay to be going slow, but steady.
Fantastic. I think I've heard Dinesh ji say this earlier also in some other sessions. Customers' money is the best source of funding. And it's okay to be slow, I'll remember that. Dinesh ji, this whole thesis around Aatmanirbhar, what has changed in the world? Some countries are calling it being nationalistic. India is calling it being Aatmanirbhar. Why is this whole theme emerging now? What has changed in this world which is leading to this topic coming up?
That's a very socio-political, I won't be able to comment. I think in general, probably, let me connect it with simply entrepreneurship or the startup culture. I think post 2010, when most of the people who had computers and mobile and access to all of these as a student. And while this whole last 10, 12, 13 years of ever since Lehman Brothers happened, uh, the funding boom, this all led to inspirational of starting a company, starting a business, not only looking for a job. I think uh, probably I came back because I had some family background of business, but otherwise, this whole anybody can do business or anybody should do business, become an employer, start a business. Earlier in India, 60 million small and medium enterprises. They are not businessmen or entrepreneur by choice. They are businessmen or entrepreneur by force because there are not enough jobs. They don't have education in a manner that can give them full-time, proper employment and career growth. But now the kind of entrepreneurs which are getting into are coming from the best of the colleges, best of the knowledge, and are not making a choice of becoming entrepreneur because they don't have a good job option. Yes. Earlier it was very common to say, job में कितना ही मिलेगा, कुछ अपना काम कर ले. Very few people opted for that. Most people, because job नहीं मिल रही है, कुछ तो करेंगे. And that's how entrepreneurship was done. Yes, even then many people became successful. But today, so that's changed. That's a big change in the last 10 years or so, where people are opting for entrepreneurship or opting to start a business by their own choice, knowingly that they have a job market and they have a backup there. So I think that changed dramatically on the Aatmanirbhar side. Yeah. So that's a mindset change. And as I said, the number of people that we are producing, educated people that we are producing, is probably the second highest in the world after China. And China has done good to themselves in the manufacturing space, but I think nobody trusts them today with the knowledge economy because yeah. Nobody trusts them. So there is a formidable competitor, but in the knowledge economy, since they've lost the trust of the rest of the world, nobody is going to give them a software job because I don't know what kind of a virus or what kind of a leaky thing that you can put inside there. So most of the people are avoiding Chinese software or technology, which especially networking technology or communication technology. And so that again gives an advantage to India because these are the only two most populous countries which are providing talent and labor or whatever you call human capital. Yeah. So that also makes it a probably better position for India.
So Dinesh ji, as you think about, I think when you were starting IT services, a lot of entrepreneurs started in that. And of course, some pivoted into something else. What are some of the big new emerging industries in Aatmanirbhar Bharat? So we have heard about drones. There is a lot of push towards electric mobility. From your vantage point, as a entrepreneur and also as an investor and supporter of ecosystem, what are you seeing? Which are the industries which offer tremendous opportunities for founders to build on?
I think if you look at the opportunities for the next 3 to 5 years, you need to find out which sector has opportunity and which sector does not have opportunity. But if you look at the opportunity because anybody who is getting into entrepreneurship or getting into business is going to probably be doing that for the rest of his life. Most of the people are 25-year-old, 30-year-old, and the life expectancy is already 72 years. So you can imagine you are trying to do something for next 50 years or so. And if you're trying to do anything for next 50 years or so, every industry has opportunity. Whether it is cement, whether it is television, whether it is mobile, whether it is water, whether it is chocolate. You know, if you look at 10, 15, 20 years, because one industry cannot grow alone. You know, it will require all the consumption, it will require all the support system. So you, whatever you like and whatever you are very passionate about and whatever you are very knowledgeable about, inquisitive about, I think choose that and just keep doing that for 7, 10 years, and you will realize that there are galores of opportunity in every sector. Having said that, in the next 3 to 5, I mean, certain sectors will grow faster because they are too small, and certain sectors which are already big enough will probably grow slower. But the overall size of those will continue to be bigger. In the sectors which are very, very tiny or very, very small today are again related to IT probably, because IT is only, I mean, this particular computer is only 5, 10 years old. And imagine what will happen when this becomes 10, 20, 30 years old. So anything around this, whether it is, you know, banking, payment, financing, and it will get inside every aspect of your life, just like electricity has gotten into every aspect of your life. I think this mobile computer will get, and internet will get into every aspect of your life, whether it is education, whether it is information, whether it is communication, whether it is business, commerce, payment, anything that you can think of. So whether it is YouTube, whether it is Instagram, whether it is India Mart, whether it is, you know, everything be done. And more so with a lot of data being generated and a lot of communication being faster on the AI side and machine learning side, and because that's very, very small use cases. I know there's so much hype and hoopla about ChatGPT, which only does very small tasks, but variety of tasks, and it will get deeper. It will get much more deeper into the system over going forward.
So we have 7 minutes remaining in the session. Are there any questions from the audience which you would like to ask either Dinesh ji or me? Okay, while we wait for hands, I have another question for you. So in 2012-13, there were about only 3 unicorns in India. Today we have about 108, 109 unicorns. And the conundrum is, should you focus on value creation, or should you chase funding and try to become a unicorn? And is it okay to not be a unicorn but to run a successful company, either bootstrap it or raise capital, and it's okay to not be a unicorn?
It's perfectly okay. It's perfectly okay. You are not doing a race here, and you're not going to prove anything by being a unicorn. I mean, I'd say you will only become a story in the media. That doesn't help your mom or your wife or your. So it's perfectly okay to do what you want to do and what you like to do, and what you can be a little more successful than last year, than yesterday, and little more satisfied than last year and yesterday. You don't really have to get into a label by somebody else. I don't know who gave this label called unicorn. So you are not, आप उसके मोहताज नहीं हैं उस label के.
Very grounded first principle thinking. More successful than last year, and most importantly, more satisfied than last year. It's amazing. Can you pass the mic? Yes, Shubho.
Mic दे देना.
We'll come to you second. हाँ, बोलिए. I'll repeat it. One at the back, please.
So, Dinesh, a lot of people are saying about this funding winter and all of that. And being one of the pioneers in the digital industry, you've seen many winters and many summers in funding. What do you advise young startups to how they deal with this funding winter? Is it an opportunity or is it a challenge?
So one of my investors used to say, never let go any good crisis for waste. Every crisis presents an opportunity to shape your business model better, to shape your finances better, or to shape your team bonding better. I think these things will happen. If it was not internal or a funding winter, who can stop a similar wave like Corona, or who can stop an earthquake like Turkey? So I guess these are things which will happen, and some of those people may not be able to find, but most of the people, life goes on, people survive and people thrive. Whatever has happened in centuries, nothing has stopped people from growing, and so I guess with this winter of funding, we should actually assume that why the summer was too hot. In fact, this is the new normal. We should actually assume that that kind of a hot summer may not come again, because that happened. That summer came in 98, 99, Y2K times. Then this next time it came in 2020, 21, and probably that happened whenever there was a big influx of change in the. So when computers and internet penetration went for the first time, and this penetration went for the second time. I don't know what next big change will come. So we should assume that this is the new normal. 20 billion per year is the new normal, not 50. 50 billion per year was an aberration. So assume that and plan. If something again will happen, will happen.
Yes, please.
For a company like India Mart, you've been in business for a long time now. What's your approach towards R&D and innovation within your company? Like, how do you approach new ideas or new directions for the company, or how do you decide that now is the time for us to now try this out and try to maybe move to a new field?
So one of our Chief Operating Officer Dinesh Gulati keeps saying, किसी भी प्रॉब्लम का हल अगर 3-4 घंटे बैठेंगे 3-4 लोग मिलके तो निकाल ही लेंगे. So something will come out if you discuss. If you will not discuss, it will always remain very difficult. And I've seen that happening from a completely no solution to something. When you sit down from 90th minute onwards, as you approach towards 100th minute, 3-4 people keep debating and keep finding kuch to hoga, kahin to hoga. So you find some way out, and from that small thread we are able to reach to a bigger solution over a period of time. Now on deciding what next to do, I generally prefer to be a little late in the technology adoption or any adoption, because I have seen how being a very early adopter has advantages and as well as disadvantages. So when you are in a running business, you don't have to live in a FOMO of or a fear of missing out of the any new trend. If that new trend will become successful, you will have all the time in the life to adopt that. You don't have to experiment it on yourself if you are running successfully good business. So that with that principle, we are okay to let go of 3 to 6 months of advantage, because if you experiment with all the new things, in any case, 1 out of 3 will only succeed. So you can wait for that successful one and then only adopt. Yeah, so that works. I know those are very simple answers, but difficult to follow in in practice. It requires a lot of discipline to say no and to follow these simple things.
Very well said. Thank you, Dinesh ji, for a very inspiring session.
Can you shout? The last one. You can come ahead.
All right, we'll just take that as a very quick last question, and we'll just quickly get the mic for you, sir. Unfortunately, we only have room for one question. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Really quick.
so sorry, sir. So my question is with Dinesh, sir. So we see that in recent times, like the unicorns, majority of the unicorns are loss-making. We see that they have raised funding close to like somewhere millions of dollars. The revenue organizations are making is, I'll take an example of Bharat Pay. So they are taking some revenue is 100 crores and the losses is 8,000 crores, 2,000 crores, 5,000 crores. So as an entrepreneur and as an investor, what do you see that the companies should focus on the valuation or the revenue? Because eventually it lands up to the customer trust. So that's what my question from you is. What are you looking for in terms of building a business? What companies should focus on? And what investors should also look into a company?
See, I cannot prescribe for anybody else what investors should look for in a company. But I've been talking about the same thing, that you should focus as a founder in your own company on whatever you like and you are passionate and where you feel that you have a advantage over others, that this subject I understand better and I am curious about and I can build upon it. So it doesn't really, you can't really comment on what Bharat Pay is doing or what Flipkart is doing or what IndiaMart is doing. Everybody is probably doing the right thing in what they believe into, and the investor also who has put in money, 100 versus 1,000, is also probably has seen something which is right for them. We are nobody to comment on somebody else's finances if we are not a customer, if you are not an employee there, or if you are not a customer there, or if you are not an investor there.
Thank you. We are done.
Thank you very much. Can we have a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to thank both Mr. Dinesh Agarwal and Mr. Apurva Chamaria. Thank you very much again for joining us.